Look, I mean, I understand you feel that way, but I don't feel that just because they're Korean, we should remove them from the platform.
Well, welcome in.
Oh,
Sorare Down Under boys back. Alster's in black, and I generally don't know if I missed the memo. Just for those watching, if you are listening, Alster's currently kitted out in what looks to be a bright pink hat and some Kim Kardashian-like sunglasses. And I just want to say I had no part of this. I rocked up for a normal episode, and about 2 seconds before we click record, I've got this guy looking back at me. But
You look ridiculous.
Alster, welcome back in, I guess. I'm a little bit confused what's going on. Can you add some clarification?
oh, look, I mean, we're a bit late this week. Normally we record, of a weekday, but it's Saturday, so I'm just wearing what I normally wear on a Saturday. So
No, that's true.
you know.
Saturday sillies.
Can't you read? Monday night's gay night.
Yeah. This podcast revolves around my life, not the other way around, mate. Come on.
Well, this is true. I mean, look, it's good that you're in better spirits than when we last left you. You've been moaning and groaning probably the past 3 or 4 weeks. Oh, everything's too hard. Poor me. Oh, everybody, look at me. Oh, but things have somewhat turned around for you. You finally got that long-awaited win that has been evading your grasp for quite some time now.
Yeah, feels good. Feels good to have a win. And now that I have finally broken that duck, I thought, what better time to talk about how hard it is to win on Sorare? Perfect timing.
Timing. we like to. I think our timing of our podcast is normally pretty spot on. I think 2 weeks ago we did a podcast and they released the cards. We like to have just record the day before something big happens, or record when it doesn't make any sense. So continuing that theme once again, I love it.
Absolutely. So lots has happened this week. We've had the Sorare treasure hunt announced on Twitter. Have you had a look at that at all? Do you care whatsoever? Are you going to try and hunt down some clues? Brush up on your ancient Aramaic, try and crack the code.
I mean, I'll probably let you take a guess, Alster.
No.
I mean, it's only until recent weeks I've actually started getting into watching football. If you think I'm going to start decoding footballing clues, you're delusional. Let's take baby steps, one step at a time. I've got to watch football games first before I can start doing all these ancient ruins.
I mean, it is quite funny. We talk all the time about how, isn't it great that Sorare is in touch with the community and when, they listen to our feedback. And, I think a lot of people over the last 12 months have been kind of crying out for the fact that, Sorare needs to really distance themselves from being like a crypto thing, because NFTs are such a dirty word at the moment. Everyone's like, look, if Sorare wants to succeed, they need to, drop the crypto, drop the NFTs and try and focus more on the mainstream. And then they're like, right, here's a treasure hunt. And all you've got to do is basically understand, computer language. And then once you've cracked this, this ridiculous code, then you've just got to hack into this crypto wallet and then unlock your cards and then transfer them through the blockchain to another wallet. And it's like, come on, guys.
Speak English, Doc. We ain't scientists.
I mean, it's, for the people who are crypto natives, it's great. But for everyone else, it's like, nah, I'm out of here. Before you drain my bank account with your scam.
And I mean, to be honest, the Twitter chains that have been going on have been hilarious. Of like the people being like, I've got it. Basically, Nicholas starts with an N, and N means NFT, and then when you connect the dots, basically it means you got to go to Belgium. And
Oh shit, buddy, I gotta dig a little deeper. There's no Pepe Silvia. You gotta be kidding me. I got boxes full of Pepe.
Like, it doesn't make any sense.
I'm going to be doing what I think everyone else is going to be doing, which is just waiting for other people to guess it online. And then when we get to the 12 words, I'll just try and get them in the right order at the right time and see if I can win myself some flights to Milan. I don't think I need to be doing any work when I can just, scab off the hard work of other people on the internet.
Well, that's the thing. Those people that are boasting that they've cracked the code, all they're doing is helping everyone else. Also, of course, the 3D cards, we have touched on them in the past. They've provided some clarification as to what they are. And we were sort of saying, what are the 3D cards going to be? Is it going to be someone popping out of my phone, giving me a thumbs up? Is it going to be someone who can flip around? And, is it going to be something cool? And I think the answer, Elster, is no.
They're just thick. just
They're
thick
just thick
cards.
boys.
It's kind of like, you know, when Doritos brought out like the 3D Dorito. And it was like, whoa. What?
Wow.
Basically, these are 3D Doritos.
I don't remember that.
It was a big moment in my life.
Yeah. Well, you know what it
Yeah,
reminds me of, Alster? It's basically they're trying to be like Pokemon Go.
yeah, well, that's what everyone's saying, aren't they? They're saying it's going to be this new augmented reality where you can pull up your cards, and all of a sudden, you know, you've got your Sebastian Blanco sitting in the shrubs in your back garden. Which, I mean, yeah, practical, probably not. I don't really know. I think they're picturing users being like at the bar, being like, "Zoof," and like, you know, this is my lineup. What's your lineup? But I can't really see that catching on. I mean, I don't know.
It might be different in Europe and America. I'm not sure what time the rewards come out there, but they come out basically at like 6 o'clock in the morning in Australia most of the time. So the reality is for us, Elster, I don't know about you. I'm not waiting until midday when I'm doing something and I'm somewhere cool and I'm pulling up my reward. The reality is I'm going to be in my pitch black room, just opening it in the darkness anyway.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
doesn't change a thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm more often than not naked when I'm opening my rewards.
Wait, are you naked?
Yeah, fully.
I have a banana.
Me too.
Yes, and like also if they are going for the whole open your rewards at a bar and be like, who do I get? Again, I mean, we've talked about many times on Sorare. How often is it that you actually win somebody that people know? Like you're gonna be at a bar and you're
never.
gonna be like, oh, I won a Sven Coombs, and they'll be like, who?
It would be quite great if like they could set it up so that you don't just open your reward. You've got to do it like Pokemon Go, and you've actually got to go out and find it.
You got to
You
catch
know?
a Sven Coombs.
I think
And
that
he
would be
fights
the
back.
end of that would be the end of PSU fans if they were like, right, if you want to go and get your 8 rewards this weekend, you've got to actually go outside and go and find them. He'd just give up on the spot. That's it. Done.
Very best, like no one ever was.
Gallery
Imagine
sold.
if you just just Sean Newsom running down the beach chasing after his, tier 3 super rare. I'm all for it. Bring it on. Pokemon Go. Sorare Go. Let's go.
There it is.
Say
I've
go
done
one more time.
I've done a full 180. I'm all for. You have to be outside to capture your reward.
You got to work for it. You're in the supermarket like, where the fuck?
He's here somewhere.
God damn it. Excuse me, madam. You're standing on my tier 2 limited.
There it is. All right. Well, Thread and Under. We're
Revolutionizing the game once
endorsing the 3D cards. There you
again. Speaking of fun, it's the international break.
go. Not fun. Not fun at all, Elster.
It sucks. I think even the people who have got cards that are playing, no one's having fun because they just need to put them in the bin.
I tell you who's having fun. Whoever owns a Denmark stack. I think
well,
4 of them
Jonas
or
Windy
5
Boy
of them?
Wind was in my team this week. Didn't do anything. Obviously, didn't help. The rest of the team was completely full of nuffies, but Jonas pulled his weight.
Yeah, well, mate, he's in some form actually. Old Windy Boy.
He is. He scored more goals, I think, in the start of this season than he did the entirety of last season. So, could be a sell. Hey,
Promising signs. But yeah, no, it's just so annoying. Like this weekend, I think last night I was sort of up late, and that's when football is on here, and I was like, oh, perfect. I'm awake. I can watch some games. And then it's like, oh, never mind. There's nothing going on. Like Slovakia is playing, Belarus, and yeah, it's just, I don't know. I feel like it's these patches is where I lose engagement with the platform.
Yeah, I don't know how. It's funny, isn't it? Because unless you've got a team where it's like you've got 5 absolute, fully entrenched smashers on the international level. Even if you have got a team, I feel like the engagement level just drops right off a cliff. There's something about club football. I think, you kind of know your players. You kind of start supporting these certain teams and supporting certain players. And something about the international break, I don't know what it is, but it just it doesn't seem to get anyone going, especially because they're games that obviously they're qualifiers, they do mean something, but I don't know, it's not the same. Even during the World Cup, I owned players who played, but because I didn't own the very best players, something about it was just, I don't know. Yeah, not that exciting.
I think if people can't get up and about for the FIFA World Cup, then I don't think that the international qualifiers stand a chance in terms of engagement. And I'm not sure what the solution is, because I think they've done in the past with these free-to-play international modes. But I think, like you said, when you don't have skin in the game, it doesn't really hold any weight.
Mm.
And we're all addicts, so,
That's it. Yeah.
makes it tough.
It would be good to be like, to look forward to an international break, but I just, without going out and buying like a France stack, I just don't see how it can be that enjoyable.
Well, I think the only way that I can get joy from the international break now is if Kojakeru becomes the Romanian goalkeeper and I can get some international utility, because I sure as shit ain't getting any utility now.
Mate, you are in a world of goalkeeper pain. I mean, let's just like recap your... Okay. Cast your mind back 4 or 5 weeks ago. Simon had the realization on this very podcast. He's like, wait a minute, I have a lot of goalkeepers all of a sudden. Like, I am ready for the new European season. I've got Kojakeru, I've got Luth, I've got Willis, who was in form at the time. I've got Marchison coming back. I am set here.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
And then since that time, Kojakeru's moved to Poland.
No.
Big fat red X. Luth has since he got suspended for a red card, and then, as we know in the goalkeeper world, you cannot miss a game because that's just the end of your career. So he's now on the bench.
No.
You left Willis out of your team because you assumed that he had been dropped as well. He's back in the starting 11, so God knows what's happening there. You might have a new kind of Murakami on your hands there.
Wait.
And then you went out and bought a Cohen Casteels, being like, well, screw this goalkeeper roundabout. I'm just going to go and buy someone quality. Sure enough, news comes out. He's leaving Wolfsburg at the end of the season. God knows where he's going to go. So,
Wait.
So, man, you are cursed.
No!
Fuck goalkeepers, man. I think that's as... at this point, just kind of numb.
Rough. I mean, it should be... it seems like Casteels will just continue to stay at Wolfsburg. I don't think it's one of those situations where, like, he's leaving out of any kind of disgruntlement, in which case, he runs the risk of being benched or anything like that. And I'm pretty sure there's no one else on their roster that can step in. So I do feel like hopefully it's that kind of one last hurrah, let's go out and win it for Cohen kind of season for Wolfsburg, for your sake.
Mate, knowing my luck, I'm sure there'll be a report come out tomorrow that he's slept with the coach's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
The coach is off him, pushing him out the door.
If you were a man, I would be with you and not with Aaron. And
But
you know
why?
this.
You know we have a son.
Oh, dear. I mean, you do have some international utility tonight out of Cohen, so, worth it.
Yeah. Shame I've got absolutely no one to go with him.
Oh, come on, Karel Metz for Estonia. He's a beast. He's a beast for Estonia.
An Estonian bloody legend, I've heard.
Yeah, he's the Virgil van Dijk of Estonia. I believe it's... I think it's it's a small island that is floating adrift in the Pacific Ocean. The Isle of Estonia.
He's full of shit.
Anyway,
Yep.
So which sort of brings the whole goalkeeper drama brings me to my new train of thought. Obviously, I don't stick with the strategy for longer than 3 weeks in this game. I like to chop and change, and basically pile on more misery on myself. But this time, Alistair, the goalkeeper's got me thinking, and me watching football's got me thinking, and I kind of want to have fun again. I think Laird sort of touched on this, I think, in one of his podcasts, but it is something that I thought was quite convenient that sort of came out because it sort of matched my thinking at the time. Initially, Sorare was probably a bit more of an investment vehicle, like it was for probably a lot of people, where things just kept going up and up. And obviously lately it's if you're not enjoying the game, then you're probably not going to be around. Like, it's the enjoyment is the only thing that's keeping us here. Well, unless you think it's going to the moon. But for me, I kind of I miss being able to get the guys that I enjoy watching. And think of all the buy lows that you've brought up over the shows over the past couple of weeks and months. All these guys, I'm like, these guys are super exciting. I'd love to take a punt on some of these guys, but because the rares are so expensive and a couple of bad investments in the rares, it can really hurt you financially. I'm kind of thinking of dabbling in limiteds. And
What the fuck?
I know I've only ever had bad experiences with limiteds. I know they're a terrible financial investment.
When the son of the deposed king of Nigeria emails you directly asking for help, you help.
But I feel like there's nothing wrong with investing a couple of $100 and just getting some guys that I like. And I think it's a great way for me to learn new teams, learn new players, because as we know, when we have a player on a team, you start to learn the team, you learn the league a little bit more. I'm thinking of dabbling.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, our last foray into limiteds, we both decided to be geniuses and buy a bunch of American limiteds in the kind of as the season was petering out, with the intention of we'll get a couple more weeks utility. Prices are at all-time lows. Come next season, prices will be back up, around the ridiculous mark. And then, sure enough, we had the biggest crash that Sorare's ever seen. So. I think our limited experience in limiteds,
Kathy,
has been soured somewhat by the fact that we looked at it as an investment vehicle as well as a way of trying to win a few things here and there, and it just went bad for us. So I think totally buying I've had great fun with my Wolfsburg boys. I had my little Tottenham stack last year, but that's kind of been decimated by the transfer window. But I've still got, a couple of Tottenham players in there, and it does make it way more enjoyable watching my team play. So yeah, I'm totally on board with you going into the limiteds and just having a bit more fun. Just on that as well, I was crunching some numbers. Obviously, it's been no secret that I've been in a bit of a dry patch. I was a bit down in the dumps. Maybe I'm not so good at Sorare. Why did I make the change to all super rares? What am I doing with my life?
Oh, look at me, psychological damage up to here.
I did a bit of a backlog on since I've moved to super rares, just kind of how I've performed. So I moved in game week 361, so that's 4 or 5 months ago. I've hit the threshold 13 times. I've won 6 super rare awards, 2 of which were goalkeepers, which I've sold for over $1,000. I think my total kind of profit, not including cards that I'm still holding on to, is up around the $5,000 mark since then, which I think you could probably, my strategy was to make that move with exactly this in mind. It takes quite a few rare wins to hit that same amount of kind of return. So it kind of made me realize that yes, the strategy is actually working, and financially it probably is working out better than if I'd stayed with what I was doing with rares, especially with how competitive things are getting. But it hasn't been as fun because there's a bit too much pressure on my super rare boys. I don't have as many teams to roll out each week, and that's just not as fun. So when you talked about the limited side of things and the fact that you wanted to have a bit more fun, I was like, yes, I totally agree with you. And I think the higher stakes, we need the stakes. We couldn't just play limiters. I think we need those stakes on the line. But I think you need a bit of a release valve. And I think for you, buying some limited boys just for fun is the perfect way to do it.
Well, do we need stakes?
Yes.
If looking at it comparatively, a win, a really good win, is that what excites you? Or is it that it's because it's a super rare or it's a rare or it's a limited?
The fact that it's super rare makes it more exciting for me. When I win limiteds, I'm not that excited.
I'm talking about a really good win. I remember when I was dabbling in limiteds for a while. Remember I rolled out that random as 270 team. I think I can't quite remember the team, but it was something along the lines of Jules Van Cleanput from from Sorare, whatever that how
R.I.P.
it's called. The man with the
Sorare,
weakest ankles in football.
Mhm.
But he managed to put it on the pitch for 2 weeks. And it was some other random guys. But I
It was
won
a
like my
weird
best
team.
reward. My best reward I'd ever won on Sorare at the time, which was
Mhm.
hilarious. I won a one Basaka. I don't know. Is that feeling of like getting an amazing score and all coming together? Is that still the same as if my Rare Boys did that?
Tough, because I think we lose sight of the actual real world dollar value of these things. We know subconsciously that when you win a super rare reward or you win a rare reward, that it is worth more, and that kind of makes it more exciting. But I don't think, have you ever looked at, when you won I don't know, Kojikaru a few months ago, did you look at did you look at what he was worth? Do you like, oh, I just won like a $600 card? Or are you just like, great, I now have a keeper I can use? Like, I think we kind of play for the thrill of trying to improve our galleries. I don't think the actual monetary side of things comes into it.
Nah, I disagree. Definitely. I think, mate, even before I win, I'm checking like if I win a tier 1, what would that be? Like, I think that is still part of it. I think it's I remember when I was on track when I was first in All Star Rare, I was like, you best believe I was putting in the ETH to AUD calculator, being like, if I come first and I get 0.4 ETH, what is that?
Yeah, but that was, I guess, I think it's more so in like you think about what it's worth, but not necessarily thinking about it like, oh, great, well, I can withdraw this and take my family on holiday. You're like, I can now go and buy XYZ player.
Yeah, I saw someone on Twitter the other day being like they're talking about withdrawing on Sorare, and it was funny, like the amount of comments where people were like, never withdrawn. And to be honest, do we know how to withdraw? Probably not.
I think we know. I think it. Yes,
Mate,
I know how to withdraw, but
I withdrew
you
and
did.
it's stuck somewhere in a bloody Ethereum wallet somewhere where I've lost the password. Seriously,
really
what is
lost the
the
password?
I've got to find it. I think it's somewhere.
Oh man,
Also, I'm not even kidding. I generally think I might have lost the password.
That's depressing. I mean, the cash wallet hopefully will mean that that's no longer a thing we need to worry about. We don't want to digress down that path just now, but going back to the topic at hand, I think the financial thing, obviously, the stakes does make it more. It affects me more emotionally because of the stakes that are there. Like when my Super Air boys, when one of them rolls out a 53, and I know that 53 means my game week is over, it hurts. It really affects me mentally. It's like my weekend sucks now because Otamendi didn't hit a 75. Whereas with the limiteds, I really don't care. Like it doesn't. It's just like, oh great, I won something. That's fantastic. But if they shit the bed, I couldn't care less. So
I don't give a honk. I don't give a honk.
I think that is having the Wolfsburg boys back has been good for my mental health because it's like I get to put out more teams in a week. I get to have more on the line. But it's just, a bit extra fun without the added kind of heartache of, watching all my very expensive cards not do very well.
Did you know that over 100 Australians are suffering from mental health?
I mean, it is interesting that you said like how the strategy is working, but you feel like you haven't been winning. I feel like it's very hard to stay on track in terms of remembering why you did that move in the first place. Because I think if you looked back at what you said when you made the move, you were like, look, I know I'm not going to win as much, but when I win bigger. And that's exactly what's happened. But like you said, it's very hard when you're on the weekly basis and you're not getting the enjoyment. But for me, what I'm saying though is if the super rare boys give you that angst of, oh my God, my weekend's over because it's a 53, is playing limiteds or rares or something where it's not as highly invested and highly weekend ruining, basically, does that make it more fun?
I think I need a bit of both. I think I do. ultimately I do want to get to the point where I've got a gallery that's worth, a decent chunk of money, especially in relation to how much I've put in. And I think my super rare strategy is a good way to get there because, it's slowly, very slowly but surely coming together in the fact that I'm like, okay, now I've probably got enough super rares to keep me going. Now I can start to funnel those thresholds and funnel those super rare wins into really strong rares and kind of work my way down from there, which was my strategy from the outset. So, but yeah, like I said, I think that release valve of having just some fun teams to throw out is important.
Yeah, I feel like it's fair. Like you have the best of both worlds. You've got the
Yeah.
reason why we're here, like the thrill of the chase of winning like an amazing reward and having that rush, but then being able to have the thing that makes Sorare great, which is getting to know little players, being able to buy better guys. It's in terms of winning, it's you better be playing limiteds for fun because my god, the scores required for limiteds are ridiculous. You basically need 500 points to get top 10. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good segue into what our main topic of today is, which is how bloody hard is Sorare these days? And, I know I see a lot of people on Twitter kind of not making excuses, but kind of, drawing the dots between, okay, well, we've got the collection bonus now. We've got so many more cards available from all the different leagues. There's more managers. Of course, it's going to get harder. I feel like it is getting to a point where it's getting almost too hard.
Why isn't it possible? It's just not. Why not, you stupid bastard?
Especially now that the value of like your tier 4s, your tier 5s are so low. Like, you really do kind of, if you want to be winning cards of any, substantial value, you've got to have premium cards or just completely hit the jackpot, It is, I think maybe I'm being dramatic, but I do feel like you're at a stage where you need to have five decisives across your team of a weekend. If your keeper doesn't keep a clean sheet, then you better hope that one of your other players gets a double decisive. Like, I think you need an average of 5 decisive actions in the same team on a weekend to pull home anything somewhat decent. And that's hard, man. That's like...
It's not even like your striker can score a goal, Elster. Not enough. He needs to have like 25 points of AA.
That's it. Yeah, you really need those like 80s, 90s, 100s. I mentioned this briefly last week, the fact that the players that can capably do that every week, are capable of hitting that every...
Inconceivable!
The players that are capable of doing that week in, week out are priced as they, they're priced accordingly. And you can get some value here and there, but the value players are players that can hit that, but aren't going to do it every single weekend. So for anyone who's playing on somewhat of a budget, you really got to hit the jackpot every weekend.
And I think that's something that we've been guilty of is playing the hardest competition to enter, which is probably Global All-Star. Given the fact that it's got the most rewards, it's got the lure of the ETH if you get in the top 100, and we've touched on this briefly before, but it's really not the most optimal way to play because, like we said, we're not giving ourselves a chance of winning a division, of winning the whole thing. Because ultimately, our chances of winning All-Star Rare are the same as winning the lottery.
That's it, yeah. And I mean, obviously it's kind of too late for us now to turn around on our strategy. Both of us are targeting All-Star because that's where the best prizes are. And, if you have that amazing weekend, you want to know that you're in with a chance of winning the best cards. But my kind of losing streak, as it were, and I know your entire Sorare career really has made me think, like, is it better to win more often than it is to win good cards less often?
What the fuck are you talking about, man?
Win good cards less often. Okay, gotcha. Yep, I'm caught up.
What do we value more? Winning more regularly or winning less regularly but winning better cards?
My opinion on it is I think winning more often because I think for me that keeps me engaged longer, whereas I find if I go on a streak of a month or 2 months without winning anything, I do find I get a little bit disengaged with the platform. Whereas I feel like you get a little tidbit here and there, it sort of keeps me going.
Especially when you get nothing but coins. That's almost. I think you've said this before. It's almost worse to get coins and nothing else.
Finally, some validation. I said this from the day the coins came out. I said, fuck the coins. They are the stupidest thing. It's rubbing salt into the wounds. And you were like, no, man, think of the versatility and the utility of all these coins. Welcome to the club. Everyone has finally come to where Simon has been sitting on the hill looking down on you all this time. Say it with me. Simon was right. Say it with me. Simon was right.
Simon was right. I mean, it would be okay because I mean, my rebuttal at the time was no. Well, these coins, if you can stack your coins and pick up a jersey here and there, some merch, pick up some tickets, like you beauty. Every single jersey drop that they've announced on Twitter, I've found out about 7 hours after it happens, because I live in Australia, and I go, oh, they're dropping a jersey. Oh, they posted that 6 hours ago, and then all the comments are, I was online, I was refreshing, and they're all sold out within microseconds. Like, I've got coins that are sitting there, they're building up. I don't really care about boosts and stuff like that. Maybe I will eventually, but they like last week they had a Challenger mystery jersey drop, and I'm like, this is exactly the kind of mystery jersey I want, because we can't buy like a Cercle Bruges jersey in Australia. It's just impossible. Like, those jerseys from those Challenger leagues for us, like you're wearing one from Hajduk, obviously you went there, but outside of actually going there, we can't access those kind of things. So that's the perfect mystery jersey that I want to spend my coins on, but I'm never going to get the chance to. So it's like we're getting these coins that we can't use for anything. So yeah, okay, rant over, but Simon was right, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, thank you. Nah, look, yeah, I think I don't know how we got onto coins. I think that was we're zigging and zagging on this episode. We're really going down some rabbit holes.
Winning card rewards, I think we've established, is that it doesn't really matter. Like winning a tier 4, tier 5, that doesn't really matter. At least there's that hope that, like, oh, maybe this card could do something, or there's utility. You can use that in a cap 240 lineup. Like, winning a card is more important to us than winning a good card less frequently.
Yeah, because it's just, I think that's the whole part of Sorare. And it's more, you get to know more players. As soon as you own a player, you have somewhat investment. Like,
that's a very good point. So I was looking at, last week, and everyone kind of says, oh, this week was a high scoring week. I feel like this might be the new normal. Last week, to get a tier 5, you had to score 370 points in All-Star Rare. If you hit 400 points, Simon, in All-Star, what position do you think you would have come if you hit 400 points?
400 points.
Which is an average of 80 points per player.
My God.
With 40th. Bonuses obviously included. So, you're probably like 60, 65 per player, which is, again, 5 decisives per team.
Oh.
What position do you think 400 would have got you?
120th?
205th. I remember the days when you get 400 points and you are on. It's like, I'm at least top 50, top 100 at the very worst. Outside the top 200 for hitting 400 points, I mean, that's tough.
It's just like, it's unfathomable about how we are meant to all buy players. Is that word okay? Does that word make sense?
Very good usage of unfathomable.
Thank you. It's unfathomable, the fact that we are expected to buy players that not only hit a decisive every week, but are racking up the AA, because that's the thing that gets me, Alster, is I get the notification that my striker has scored. And now, what is a striker's purpose in football? It's to score a freaking goal. Like, they've done the thing that they should be doing, but then we're not rewarded for that if they only get 65. Because that's just about use. If your goalkeeper doesn't get a clean sheet on top of that, mate, you're not even getting a reward.
Yeah, I agree. And this is where it kind of comes into, like, there's only a certain number of players that can do that week in, week out for you, and they're bloody expensive, So it's a tough old world. I mean, I think Lair, I think it was on Sir Andrews, they were talking about running through some different ideas, and they were saying that they really should make 200 cap 240 like the best, have the best prizes on the platform. Whilst I don't necessarily agree with that, because I think if you've got money to invest and you want it, and you invest it in the best players, you should be rewarded for that. But I do feel like, in the cap modes, if there was just a little bit of an extra cherry there for people to try and, because that, whilst, you could say that the whales still kind of benefit from having a massive gallery and they can just roll 240 anyway, but at least you feel like you've got a fighting chance in 240. You're not up against like just ridiculous stacks. So
it's the most even of playing fields, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, potentially, there's a case to be made for like, and this is kind of the topic of our conversation, which is like, okay, well, how can we, what is it a worthwhile strategy to completely avoid the most popular competitions, your all-stars, your all-star pros? Is it better to focus on some of the lesser desired divisions, maybe focus on things like Division 2, or are you better to kind of be a full-time cap mode player where every week you're on the lookout for like, okay, who's coming back from injury that's going to have a low L15, or like you could dedicate a lot more time to being the best cap mode player on the platform. I don't think the rewards are quite worth it there yet, but as we've said, is it better to try and just get a reward than
But that's a lot of groundwork each week. I feel like, is that sustainable? If you're having to go out and constantly be trading and trying to get offers, and we know what people are like when you're trying to buy players, they're not budging over 20 cents. And as well, Alistair, if you're doing that, you're also buying shitty players, which I think is fraught with danger in itself.
Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm. That's true.
What about my kickoff super rare? No one really goes in there. I've got a Bentaleb, and I was thinking a Bentaleb super rare. I bought him at the end of last season, and I'm thinking potentially, especially now Zaruki's MIA, is that something I do? Like it's not great, and if I win it, the best I can get is a pretty shitty super rare. But that shitty super rare, if we're looking at value alone, is higher than what I would win normally in rare, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've won some shitty super rares, and apart from, there was one that I just couldn't get rid of because he was just so terrible. But most of them I've been able to sell. I usually just put them up for like 0.1 because people do need those kind of just average, mediocre super rares for cap mode, for cap 240. So I usually just chuck them up for 0.1, and usually they sell pretty quickly. And for example, like in All-Star Rare last week, to get a card worth 0.1, you needed to be finishing pretty much top 100. Like, just looking, basically when you get to around the 100 rank, like here we go, Brennan Johnson sold for 0.1 ETH in the rares, and that was a tier 3 for the person that came 100th in All-Star Rare, which would have been a score of 420, 430. To kind of flip that, in Kickoff Super Rare, to win a Tier 5 Super Rare, you needed 364 points, and that is with a 50% bonus on your Super Rare. So if Bentaleb goes out and scores a 90, he gets 50% on top of that. So 364 is very attainable. And then obviously if you have a good week and you put all your good best players into Kickoff Super Rare, you run the potential of getting something like a Tier 3 Super Rare, which could be worth 0.2, 0.3, depending on who you get.
Yeah, I just think, like, given the scores required, and I think, like you said, I think we get caught up in the carrot, which is, I guess, the whole point of what if it all works out?
Yeah.
We want our stuff in All-Star.
Yes.
But how long have we been playing for, and how often does that actually happen?
Yeah. It used to happen a lot more. Doesn't happen as much anymore. I think the issue is what we kind of touched on at the beginning, which is like everything can go right. And you can score 400 points. Everyone scores a goal. Keeper keeps a clean sheet. You get 410 points, and you come 194th, and you win a card worth 0.05. So, I think I did a bit of a rundown on each of the divisions last week. Again, high scoring week. 370 for a reward in All Star. 313 in Cap 240 for a reward, which is quite high. And I do believe that like the cap modes, because there's always those players that are like cheat codes each week, the cap modes are getting particularly hard to just to place well in. Kickoff super rare, I think, is a bit of a good area, especially if you're. I think it depends on what you're playing for. So if you get a tier 4 or tier 5 super rare in kickoff, that doesn't allow you to move up into rare pro, because that tier 5, tier 4 super rare is going to be terrible. So you're just going to be wasting your lineup every week. But you can sell it for even what might seem like a bargain, then it's still better than competing with everyone for a rare. In Asia this week, to win a reward, 295 points. Obviously, you run the risk of winning K-League players, which don't have full scoring, and that sucks, and I'm sure that's why people aren't going there. But there's still players, you can still use them, and if you finish high in Asia and you win a keeper or a Cecina or something like that, that's better than coins. And then America's still pretty competitive, 342 for a reward in America. I think because of that carrot. The carrot of Messi is in America. So I think people are prioritizing that a bit more.
That makes sense. Just quickly, Alistair, I've sort of been a bit rogue on this podcast today, but can we talk about Messi conspiracy?
Please.
Aaron Long chesting the ball into his path as the last line of defense is a joke. It is a joke. This is ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
It's got to be I'd love to see that contract. It's got to be written in there that he's going to have a decisive a week because, you don't want people paying $800 a ticket to go and see Messi and see him not do anything.
I woke up and chose violence today, but I don't care. It is a joke what Aaron Long did. Bloody slipping over. This is ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. There's got to be an investigation into this. This has got to be...
Mate, every goal, they're backing away. There's that goal against, I think it was Dallas or something, and they're like, that's the greatest goal I've ever seen. Look at Messi's ball. And it's like, they stopped running. They stopped running once he passed the ball. What do you mean? You're in the box. Defend. I know MLS defenders are bad, but this is ridiculous.
Was it worth it, Aaron? Was it worth it? That
blood
money? That Judas money you've got there? God. Oh, Aaron, you've let us down.
And I reckon there's a bit of money in the contract. Take someone down outside the box so Messi can do his thing off free kicks. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's bloody exciting, and I was all for it initially, but this is it's gone too far.
Yeah, totally. I'm
Sorry,
100%
really
on board with Messi conspiracy.
That LAFC one it pushed me over the edge.
I love it. I'm glad you're finally aboard the tinfoil hat train. Okay, so going back to what we were just talking about. So obviously you're looking at, investing a couple of $100 or whatever it is and getting into some limiteds. So what will you be targeting? Because obviously I'm assuming you want to be winning every week, and I don't think you necessarily care what league you're, following. So do you think you'll kind of try and take the approach of maybe hitting up, creating a Division 2 team or creating a Jeonbuk Motors stack? What are you thinking? Or are you just going to buy players that you like and chuck them in All-Star?
Yeah, to be honest, it's not... The limiteds for me aren't about winning, to be honest. I think anytime I've gone into limited with the intention of winning, it's just so hard that it's not something that I'm aiming for. For me, it's about just buying some players that I really like. For example, I want to keep getting into the Premier League. I want to buy some Premier League guys. But I think from a scoring side of thing, I don't think they score that well because unless they're like an Enzo, no one is dominating and racking up the AA that you get in some of those worser leagues. But there are players that I love and I would love to get. I'd love to buy Matoma. I'd love to buy a Ward Prowse. But these are guys that I wouldn't put the investment in rares because I don't think they're a long-term, sustainable, consistent scorer. But I would love to have their card and follow them and watch some of their games because I've still got the chance of winning. Yeah, I want them to let me down, but let me down in yellow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a great tagline. Right.
Let me down yellow. I love that. Don't let me down blue, please. Come on, I've had enough of being let down blue, but let me down yellow every day of the week.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, so it's just about buying more of those guys, having more freedom on the marketplace. Whereas I think with the rares, and as we know, our strategy hasn't been to buy and sell. We've certainly been buy and ride them through the good times, ride them through the bad times. Whereas I feel like with the limiteds, I can be like, if I want to buy a guy, I'll buy a guy.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. And you can always shift them on if you need to. Like the liquidity is always there for even the worst of the yellows. So, yeah. Look, I think to put a bow on what we've talked about, I think. I mean, obviously, we're a bit too deep in. I'm not suggesting that either of us sell all of our cards and buy ourselves a Bundesliga 2 stack. But I think if you're a player out there that is struggling a little bit and doesn't have the budget to keep up with the kind of scores that you need to win on a regular basis, I do think there is tremendous opportunity in your Division 2, your Asia, maybe America in a couple of weeks or a couple of months. Either that or really focus your energy on those cap modes. Because, I think at the end of the day, winning is more important than, winning big.
Zig when people zag.
That's right. Okay, all right, let's get into some Whose Faces It Anyway?
Welcome into this week's edition of Whose Face Is It Anyway?
Wait a minute. Who are you?
Everyone's favourite new segment.
Mate, this face morpher app has changed my life. Like, I don't think I can live a normal life after this.
Okay, so who would like to go first? So basically, for those playing at home, we are going to send a love child of two famous football players, and Simon or I've got to guess who the two players are. And if we don't get it right, the consequences are dire.
And are we popping these on Twitter, Alster, or?
Yeah, I think
What's
we're going
the
to
plan?
open it up to the. Well, we're going to have some separate ones for you guys playing at home. We might run a little competition. Throw a few limiteds towards the community. Maybe a rare. Who knows? They're all worth the same basically these days.
Sinjin Ho Super Rare.
Well, I know you've all been wanting to play at home, so we'll give you that opportunity shortly.
All right, I'll kick things off, Alster.
All right.
Coming through to you now. I wonder if the jersey will give it away a little bit.
Okay. I've got that's a Joe Willis jawline, and whose eyes are those? Is that Kojikaru?
It is my two keeper boys.
Ding ding ding! Isn't it funny how I just know Joe Willis's chin?
We've looked at that
Intimately.
mug a little bit too much. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Coming through to you now, Alster.
Ooh.
Little handsome boy.
Very handsome. Oh, man.
Thick hair.
Is that those Reynoso's lips?
No, it's not Reynoso.
Oh. Enzo? Enzo Fernandez?
No. Both Premier League players.
Man. Both Premier League players. Okay, I needed that. Oh, man.
This one's tough.
So generic. This could just be like, one of those composite sketches of this guy stole my purse officer. I feel like I know those lips. Why do I know those lips so well? I'm stumped, mate. You're gonna have to give me the old lifeline or some more clues.
Should we let some of the watchers and listeners let us know in the comments what that is, or do you want me to reveal it to you right now?
Yeah, let's leave it for the boys at home.
Leave it for the boys. Get the
My
crew
punishment
together. Put their
can
minds.
be not knowing. Okay, all right, Simon. I'm going to send you some now. Okay, here we go.
All right, Neymar. Is that correct?
Yes.
I feel like I know that. The beard. A thick head. Thick head. I feel like I've seen him before. God, where is he from? Do I know this player well, Elster?
Yes.
God. Neymar and... Is the guy black?
Yeah. He's on the spectrum.
I don't know, man.
All right, we'll leave it up to the Twitter boys. I mean,
Okay.
it's a good
Shit.
punishment. Just not knowing is quite painful.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well,
I want to know.
all right, we'll leave that in your subconscious. I'll send you the next one. All right, ready? Let's go.
All right, Johnny Russell
Correct.
and Sebastian
That's a
Blanco.
tough one. Wow, well done. That is tremendous. I did not think you were going to get
I
that.
know my Blanco boy from anywhere. I know my Blanco boy. You can hide him
That's
behind
it.
that Scottish mug, but I'll always know my boy.
My father's eyes. Oh dear. Oh, good fun. All
To be
righty, cool.
fair, the only thing in that picture that you can tell is from Blanco is like the eyes. Everything else is Johnny Russell.
Yeah, well, there you go. Okay,
Kind of a bit
cool.
scary.
Alrighty. It's been a while since we've done a Justin Bigelow sell Tom Hay.
I let the stocks decide my mood. Fuck! Damn it! Wait, is green good? Green's good? Okay, never mind.
Again, for those playing at home, this is where I make people millions of dollars by selecting players who are currently undervalued that will be worth many more dollars in the future. This is not financial advice. And then I also talk about ones that, players that may be in a bit of a hot streak, a bit of a run of form, or otherwise maybe a little bit overpriced. Okay, so this week, it wouldn't be an episode of Buy Low Sell Hay without me suggesting an old goalkeeper who doesn't even play. This week, I've got, a bit of a fan favourite here, Konstantinos Lamprou from the Shadows. Recently signed as the third backup goalkeeper for Feyenoord. Now, for those who have kept their finger on the pulse, Feyenoord's main keeper, Justin Bijlo, broke every bone in his wrists.
And very clearly, the bones are not broken.
And his wrists have now come off. So he's out for ages, and they've got Timon Woolenreuther in goal at the moment, and he hasn't been doing amazing. I mean, letting in the odd goal against some pretty low-ranked opponents. And from what I hear with my ear to the ground, Feyenoord fans aren't massive fans of Woolenreuther, which means Konstantinos, all of a sudden, is next in line for the throne. And I do feel like at some point he might get a crack. That's obviously not a guarantee. He might just sit on the bench the entire year, but I think he's priced at like 0.03 at the moment, and it could be worth a punt because if he all of a sudden is the Feyenoord goalkeeper, then you've got yourself an absolute top-class keeper on a top-class team. And I do actually think that Lamprou is quite a good goalkeeper from what I've seen of him. So, yeah, Konstantinos.
Did I used to own him way back in the day? I did, man.
I think you might have done.
Yeah.
And he was good. High
He was
AA,
really
made
good.
a lot of saves. Yeah.
Played for
Seems like a solid
Zwolle
goalkeeper.
or something in
For Zwolle,
Dutch
yeah.
league?
Playing for the worst team in the league. So he had his work cut out for him, but he was kind of single-handedly trying to keep them up.
Isn't that one of the best things of Sorare when you have a guy from like a year and a half ago, you sell them so you forget about them. You have no idea, but they've been sitting on a bench somewhere as a third string, and then they come back into relevance. That's always nice. They come full circle.
Yeah, I'm just trying to give people out there that feeling. Side note, I just realized that I called him an old goalkeeper. He is 4 days younger than me, so really nailed it there. Okay, next one on my list is, well, this guy has all the hallmarks of a sell hay, don't get me wrong. Philippe Romans from the Go Ahead Eagles. Now, Philippe is currently priced at 0.09 for his rare, and he has an L5 of 70 and L15 of 60. So you'd have to think, surely this is someone that we want to be moving off ASAP. But for that price, he is a bargain. Let me tell you why. I'm sure you can guess why. He's the main man. Last year, he was not the main man. He was a CDM who would roll out 55, 60 every single week. Solid without being groundbreaking. This year, he's picked up a few more extra responsibilities. He takes penalties, sets, and corners. So I think this could be the next Tom Hay. Playing on a pretty weak team, but, in the Eredivisie, there's a bunch of other weak teams that he'll come up against, more often than not. And it's just that guy who's got a solid base and has a very high potential of getting those peak scores. So I think this is one that the train has not left the station just yet. They play against Volley next weekend, and then they play Fortuna. So, some good fixtures coming up. I'm all aboard the Romans train.
Has his price already jumped up, or is it still staying pretty level?
I think it has jumped. Let's have a look. It's slowly going up. He was 0.06 kind of before the season started. He's now 0.09, but that's still cheap for what you could potentially be getting here. And like his last scores, I mean, he's got some decisives the last couple of games. So he's got 87, 75, 79. And then his scores before that without a decisive, 60, 60, 54, 59, 59, 61. Like, he's a dreamboat. He's everything I want in a player. So don't know if he's any good or not, but he fits the bill on a statistical point of view.
Love it.
Love it. Cool. Last one is very similar mold. Jonathan Vieira at Las Palmas. One of the kind of best players on the platform last year when they were dominating the La Liga 2. They've now made the jump up into La Liga, which obviously doesn't bode that well for him. But again, he's still a main man, scores very well with AA, and look, they're going to have some good fixtures every now and then. They're going to pick up the odd win here and there, and then he's really got that potential for those big scores. And he's 0.06, so even more reasonably priced. So again, a main man on a weak team isn't necessarily the worst thing to have if you are, on a budget.
All right. Have you got some sell Tom Hayes? Did sell Hay.
Well done.
Myself.
Yes, you did. Although he didn't move, he didn't transfer, so you might regret that one. But hey, you get that top dot, baby.
Hey. So many Hays.
Okay, my sell Hayes. First one, Luke De Jong at PSV. Don't get me wrong. I think PSV are going to wipe the floor with everyone this year, and they do have a very strong team. But Luke De Jong kind of is a player where, we know how he has scored in the past. He's okay, not great for PSV. It's not like his situation has changed. He's just in a real hot streak of form. And, talking about buying players that are in form, selling players that are in form, I think Luke really fits the bill, especially at like 0.45 or whatever he is at the moment. So, yeah, I'd be moving out of him just because I don't think he can sustain it at that level. Next one is another one that we mentioned earlier, actually, James Ward-Prowse. Got a bit of a hype underneath him at the moment. Obviously moved to West Ham, which people thought was going to be a bad move, and then it turned out to be, he nailed it the first few games. He's got a pretty rough run of fixtures coming up. I think they've got like Liverpool, Man City, a few others. And I also just think that like West Ham, whilst they are better than Southampton were last year, I think James Ward-Prowse's scores last year I think he's going to go back to that, which is like the occasional peak score, which is great, but then a lot of like 35s, 40s, a lot of lost possession kind of thing. I don't think he's necessarily going to become a week in, week out smasher for West Ham, especially, with some tough fixtures coming up.
Yeah, and how often do we see that where a player comes to a new club, obviously all the excitement. It's almost like that buzz you get after you sack your manager. Everyone's up and about, all of a sudden, everyone's in great form, 100%. And I think that's a really good point you made, like of him going back to the normal.
Yeah.
Like watching Premier League, we've all watched Ward-Prowse. Great player. Like, he's really solid. But nothing has changed between last season and this season where he's going to all of a sudden dominate the Premier League.
Yeah.
As much as I love him, I can't see it happening.
I think with a lot of these players, I'm not saying you shouldn't buy them. I just think that at the price they are currently, you could probably sell them and pick them up for about, $100, $200 cheaper in a couple of weeks. I kind of see James Ward-Prowse as like a 0.2, 0.25 kind of player. And I think currently he's going for like 0.36, 0.37. So I just feel like, especially ahead of these tough fixtures, I think, now could be a good time to jump ship.
Yep.
And lucky last, Julian Carranza at Philly. I've seen some pretty strong rumours that he's going to Europe and not any of the good European teams. I think he's looking at a few teams in Greece have been looking at him. So whilst he is absolutely dominating for Philly at the moment, I think you could probably get off that before some heartbreaking news comes out. So not so much one of, where I'm reading between the lines, but more just like hoping to save someone from, who may not have seen those rumours come through.
Love your work as always, mate. Got your ear to the ground.
Mad.
Inside scoop.
Pulling it out of my ass. Okay, so look, we've hit the hour mark. Now, are you, obviously we've got a week to go of international break. Is game week 407 going to be your debut in the limiteds? Have you already been doing some scouting? How much money are you thinking of putting in? What kind of players are you looking to buy? Give us some inside goss.
It's probably it's a couple of $100 looking to put in. For me, it's a subscription to Sorare. I'm putting in a couple for something I enjoy.
I like it.
So yeah, putting a couple of $100. I'm still, to be honest, not quite 100% sure on. I think I want to stay in one league, and if I do, I'm going to get a defensive stack because I'm going to get behind that one team. But I really want to get into the Premier League. But I do, obviously, I know I said before it's not about winning, but you want to give yourself somewhat of a chance. I don't think getting Premier League players in the limiteds is the best move. So I'm thinking one of the other leagues. But I don't know, man. Obviously, I love the Jupiler League and stuff, but maybe going a mainstream league like Prem or La Liga, even Bundesliga maybe, could be a good shout because I want to keep growing my football knowledge so that when I'm talking to people on the street, I can talk about big leagues. Because at the moment, if they ask about the J League or the Jupiler League, I'm like, yeah, man, I got you. But I don't know that much about La Liga or Bundesliga.
It's so good when, because that's always a topic of conversation that comes up at dinner parties is who's been keeping up with the Jupiler League. So it does feel good to be knowledgeable in that area. But yeah, I agree. We should probably know a little bit more about the main leagues in the world.
Yeah, so that's the plan. It's my gateway into knowing more about football. It's the gateway drug.
Love it.
Exciting times ahead. We'll see what happens. Haven't nailed down any specifics yet, but yeah, it's all pretty exciting.
Love it. Alrighty. Well, obviously we've both got teams out this weekend, don't we? But I don't know about you, but I'm not holding my breath for anything exciting. But yeah, hopefully, I'm really looking forward to next weekend, getting back into club football. But yeah, all good.
We'll go off to your rave somewhere else. Too. You've got a party planned by the looks of the hat and the glasses. So go and
just have a chill one on the couch, I reckon.
It's just your normal attire. Anyway,
all right, see you, mates.
Well, see you, mates. We'll catch you next week.